Welcome to Your Brand Express podcast. I'm your host, CJ Aline.
And I'm Carl Aline.
And together, we will take you on a journey to where entrepreneurship meets culture and cool.
So get ready to elevate and expand your entrepreneurial spirit as we explore the dynamic and ever-changing landscape of the business world.
So, sit back, relax, and join us as we bring to you the ultimate vibe and help you experience your brand like never before. Let's get it. Woo! What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Your Brand Express podcast. So good to see you guys. Today we have an amazing special guest, Alisa Hunter. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, CJ and Carl. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. So, we're super excited to have this. Me and my dad, Carl, are, the host of Your Brand Express, and we are going to be talking to the one and only Alisa Hunter, as she said, just about her business and what you're doing. So for everybody listening, for those who are not sure and familiar, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thank you, CJ. So I am the founder and CEO of Legacy Coaching and Consulting, LLC, and we provide strategic support to organizations, businesses, individuals, and teams around what are your goals and how do you get there, looking at both desire and capacity. So that's what I do.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's cool. Yeah, it's like, okay, were you gonna say something, CJ?
Oh, no, you got it.
Oh no, I was gonna say that, that's cool because it seems like you help businesses to kind of gain their focus, which is so needed throughout the year to each quarter. And it's I as a business owner, I can attest there's so much that comes your way. So with what you do, it's so needed. So
Thank you.
kudos to you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And a lot of that stuff that business owners go through, like, because what you help with is kind of like the back end. What us as business owners put on the back end, which is our priorities and our goals. Sometimes we put those. Sometimes we don't know how to go about those because we're so focused on pushing the stuff out. And this is I just think it's so amazing. This is awesome.
Thank you. And, as you both have shared, expertise, when you're a business owner, you're an expert in the service or the product that you provide. You're not an expert in management. And those are two very different skill sets. So I look to provide support on the management end. I'm definitely not an expert in every product and service. I do consider myself an expert in process and strategy.
Well, many people think about it like this, and I think about it the same too. Like, process is so important. It's such a backbone, the backbone of your business. Because if you don't have a good process, you might be cranking, like going at it the first quarter, then the second quarter comes, it's like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah, facts.
Been there for sure. So
True.
love that. Yes, so true.
Keep that focus.
Yeah, keep that focus. So with what you do, like, how do you help? Like, can you unpack that and kind of explain how you help out with the goal setting and strategic planning? To like, so if I have objectives, I might have in the back of my mind, and who knows, I might have put it out on a mind map, or I may not even know about putting it out on mind maps and things like that. Could you kind of unpack that and tell us how that goes for a business?
Yes. So, it starts with a conversation around what are your goals and objectives? Also, what are the pain points? You have this thing that you're doing or product, and how is that going for you? And where you experience successes, and where are you experiencing some frustrations or stall outs or just challenges? And then also, how are you spending your time? I think in particular, depending on what an individual is doing, whether they're like a solopreneur, where everything is relying upon that individual for running a business, and that those require a lot of competencies, or maybe you're on a team and what may be getting in your way. And so I think about, we all have strengths, we all have areas of opportunity, and we all have limits to our capacity: time, money, energy, and expertise. So really assessing what's going well, where are the challenges, and starting from there. I would say, general format wise, that's how I approach. You end up just discovering different things based on who the person is, what the scenario is, and things like that, and then advise and provide some insights accordingly.
Mm. Wow, I love how you said uh the opportunity. You talked about opportunity as well.
Mhm,
That's a great way to frame it, because a lot of us say, "Well, what are your strengths?" Oh, I really, with the marketing background, one word that people use, and I'm big into words, is
mhm,
that, yeah, this is my strength, or they'll say, "I suck at this,"
mhm,
and that does so much for the entrepreneur, solopreneur. And so you say that, what's the opportunity?
mhm.
Did I say that right?
Yes, yep,
Yeah,
yeah,
that is so, for someone like me, that's huge, because that can help you as you navigate through your journey as a business owner.
right.
So that just shows where you're
Totally.
coming from.
Mhm. And I think about, just even like you said, the power of words. And when you say, I suck at something, where do you go with that? When there's an area of opportunity, there's something to step into and pursue. Sucking kind of just sounds like a wall, it
Yeah.
doesn't leave you with ideas or strategies. Opportunities mean like there's something available out there that I can access.
Wow.
Good point.
Ooh, hope y'all heard that.
That's true. That's a gem. That's really true. Because like, yeah, you tell yourself you're bad at this, you kind of like cap yourself. Like, I'm
Hmm.
bad at this, therefore I'm gonna stay stuck and stay bad. Or instead of improving or even seeking opportunities for people to help. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? There's so many people that like, I think about it even in like our normal day life. Like, why does Steph Curry have a shooting coach? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? If he's the best shooter, it's like he needs that, he gets that training from someone that is excellent in that department to help him improve and not cap him where he's at. So
Hmm.
it's so
Hmm.
true. That is
Hmm.
so true.
That was a great example. Thank you, CJ.
Yeah. And even with that, like, what are some strategies, Alisa, that you use to guide business owners to, getting their needs and setting their goals?
Hmm. So for me, I really like to unpack and get to the root of what the issue is. And so, I have my part of my background training is in mental health counseling. And so when I think about, what we see, like those are the symptoms, what are the roots? That's what we actually need to get to. That's the foundation, right? And so let's say, like, I'm not getting enough business. Well, what does that mean? Like, that there's so many different things that can go into that. How are you feeling? Like, so what's your confidence? How are your time? Like, so those are capacity measures. What are you doing for marketing? Um, who are you in front of? And so really trying to drill down to find out where kind of the centers of the issues lie. And so it begins with conversation. And I just ask questions, and I wonder and I reflect, and I um try to reframe what I heard and see if that's correct, and really drill down to what may be the heart of the matter. And I can think about somebody I was having a conversation with yesterday, from a coaching perspective, and that individual was talking about the kind of the tension between having a full-time job, having a business, which really is an area of passion, and then also focusing on health, well-being, settling in. They relocated back to this area. And so just going through those different dimensions of of where they are. All right, well, finding out, all right, well, your housing seems to be stable. All right, you're working on things around like your health and exercise. All right, so really what's going on with the business and the job? And so they can have it helping them to think more deeply about what may appear on the surface. And so, some of the things that we explored were like utilization of time. Also, something else that we talked about, and I find true for myself and others, can be perfectionism as well. Like if you make one mistake, like that's where like the I suck comes in, and you have to do everything right and alone. And we unpack that a little further. What resources do you need? How do you offer grace to yourself, and what is actually realistic? And so that's just one example. And so all that to say, circle back to really talking about what's at the heart of the issue or concern that you have. And then we identify strategies based on that actual situation. And I'm big on, if you have to have a proper foundation in order to build from. If your foundation's shaky, then everything built upon it will be shaky. So let's really get to the heart of what is going on. I hope that answers your question.
No, that definitely helps a lot. I think even with how you mentioned the grace point, it
Mhm.
I think that's something I want to practice in my own like content journey. Just give myself grace for like like walking and falling. You know how like a baby, like when they're like learning how to walk, they walk and fall. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's a good thing. It actually teaches them to, absorb like things like that and actually grow. Like that's how they grow, by falling. And I want to have that mentality with consecration, just where, things don't go exactly how I expected, and give myself grace and continue to learn and, delegate, try to get people to, help me in areas that I'm not good at, or even just learn. You know what I mean? I think it's so easy to lose that in the space too, because sometimes you feel so used to what you're doing, and then you don't give yourself grace or even the humility to learn what you don't know.
Right.
So that helps a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And something you said just about like the grace and the learning piece. I also, and I think a lot of times with folks who are really driven, patience for process gets lost. And I'm the same way. Like, get an idea, want to start. I'm going to go from like concept to full execution and making money, right? And so that's what I envision and I desire. And that's not really how things work. So even being patient around like what to expect along the journey, and acknowledging the successes and the growth, because it is a process and not just linear. Like we wish it would go just like on a steady up, but it usually doesn't work that way. So even being patient, learning, making adjustments, and recharting your course based on where you are and what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
good
great.
stuff.
And then hearing you too, Elisa, reminds me of, just how some people believe this. I believe this too. A good 80% at least is mindset. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing a business, and you talked about having that foundation. And a lot of, I know, even for a lot of friends and colleagues that I know, it's, you're going through the year again. Now we're in September, and you're going through the
Mm-hmm.
year, and you have all these ideas, and you're executing things too, but you could divvy away so much from your plan,
Mm-hmm.
or you may need to readjust, but you don't always think about going to the plan. You just think about just making a move,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm,
know. And then the
Mm-hmm.
second thing I thought of too, when, I kind of referred to this earlier, but you just hear so much. I mean, we spend a lot of time online, so you hear so much, and people receive so much, even from the whole marketing world, about different perspectives, and they shift so much. It can make you kind of, it could
Mm-hmm.
distract you
yeah,
so much, and you
Mm-hmm.
can get the wrong perception. Like we talked about that example, the word suck. That's a buzzword that people use a lot, but they don't always see the damage until 3 years later, to the
Mm-hmm.
people receiving the message. So just even hearing what you do, and just hearing that you talked about laying that foundation, that is so important. And I think
that's
about,
key.
that's right, it's key. And I think
Yeah,
about on too, just you talked about CJ, you shared about Steph Curry, and I think about athletes, how you, when you have to get into a zone, you're out of zone a lot of times when you're playing throughout a season, but you still have to play gracefully, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole mindset helps you
wow.
so much to be graceful as you're moving along, as you're navigating, and that helps you to be steady. It's not that you may not even be a steady person, but you
Yeah.
create an environment of grace. It's going to help you so much to if you're going horizontal, if you're going diagonal, great. If you're going horizontal, that's fine too. The process, that word I've been thinking about a lot too, Alisa, process, because it's not always the most attractive word, but that's
It's
where
not.
so right,
Or
and there's so much,
experience.
yeah, and it builds experience, and that's where a lot of the
Yeah.
growth comes from.
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
some great insight, man.
Good
Mhm.
stuff.
Oh
And I
goodness.
think about just what y'all were sharing and like the sports analogy. And so I was watching football. It was either Sunday or Monday. And one of the quarterbacks threw an interception, right? And that's like, oh no. And then he goes back to the sideline, and it was either teammates or coach, just like smacked him on the helmet, like you hear. And so I think about that. I also watch tennis, and just I can be so perfectionistic. I don't want to make a mistake, period. And when you think
Well,
about like whether it's the tennis, singles, individual sport, football, a team sport, but everyone has people around them, and it's a collective effort, and it's an accumulation. You want more successes than losses per se, and it's not about perfection, even though it can feel like that. And I think about some of like anybody who's achieved a high level at anything, they need to display mental toughness, right? And so you need to be able to learn, grow, make adjustments, and have determination, not be perfect. And so it's something I'm trying to learn as well. And even like Serena Williams, greatest of all times, she didn't win everything, and yet
Right.
her her legacy is without dispute.
Mm,
yep.
right.
Wow, that's good.
So true. I think about that term, that phrase, imperfect action. Imperfect
Mhm.
action, and then closing. And I think about that. I think about closing the gap as well, where the gap between, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. All right, keep moving. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I can't believe I messed up. All right, keep moving. And the more
Mhm.
you do that, the more the faster you grow. A lot of things are about closing that gap,
Mhm.
between that
Mhm.
closing that distance.
Mhm.
Where you get hard on yourself, and you keep navigating. You keep navigating through. Get to, and there's
Keep
a coach
showing up.
that yeah, keep showing up. There's a coach named Stu Smith. He's a coach for um, firefighters and stuff like that, and he talks about get to and through. I love that.
Mhm.
To
So
and through.
wow, I love the name of your name too. Legacy Coaching and Consulting LLC. How did you come about that name?
Mhm.
Curious.
Yeah. So when I think about legacy, something that I was considering is what's next for me chapter wise professionally, and what I want to leave behind for my daughter and the generations to come. And
Yeah.
so this for me is about building legacy, intergenerational or multi-generational wealth, also not only financially, also being able to serve as an example for my daughter around what your dreams and goals are and going to get it. So leaving a legacy of strength, of confidence, of belief in self. And so that's why legacy, it's for my daughter and the generations to come.
Mm, love that. Love that.
Inspiring.
Legacy is important, right, CJ?
Yeah, even at a young age. Like, it's important. Not like for my siblings, but even, you know, with your habits, they gonna kind of get you to who you're gonna be next. So I just want to make sure I'm
Ooh,
being as good as I can be.
Mhm.
okay. Love that. Yeah, and that inspired us to do this podcast too. Just legacy is so important. Just going into the business world, you see so much, make this and do that. But I'm like, man, legacy, family, and leaving a
Mhm.
legacy for the people, even not even family members, but also people who aren't family members, people who
Mhm.
will receive your message
Mhm.
from years to come. As
Mhm.
Yep.
different things change. I want to leave. I think about legacy. I want to leave some good principles that people can hold on to. That I received, I learned from other people
Right.
too. Just
Right.
pass off those solid principles. You know. So
Totally.
yeah.
How do you assist businesses in monitoring progress towards their goals and making adjustments to ensure success?
Right. So thank you. So monitoring success towards goals. So first of all, when you set your goals, you want it to be as smart as possible so that it's not something that is ambiguous or not specific or strategic. All right. So smart is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And so want to
Wow.
construct goals that fit those criteria so that you can actually monitor and measure progress. And then when you think about time frames, you want the time frame to be reasonable based on what's actually going on in the setting situation or on the ground. And so looking at SMART goals, revisiting them, making any tweaks and adjustments. And also when you have, let's say one goal, there's all kind of subtasks that are beneath the broader goal itself. So also constructing timelines and time frames for those subtasks that need to happen for the larger goal. So you want them to be mapped out clear on a document project management platform, somewhere where you can actually check things off, monitor, and have something to refer back to. And so so you have them written down somewhere you can refer back, and then you want to meet regularly to check in on progress and where we are. So to keep the lines of communication open, both in meetings and via email, um, brief check-ins or huddles. And so you have the written and then you have the actual verbal and in person to make sure or to assess how things are going, and then make adjustments based on the reality. Let's say some emergency comes up and this whatever the project is or the goal is needs to shift down in priorities. Or let's say we find out something's taking longer than expected, and so we need to shift the timeline. Or something gets done sooner than expected, then we can move things up. And so those are some ways that I think about helping folks to stay on track to achieve their goals and monitoring how they're doing. And also if there's any sticking points, both in what's happening from a practical standpoint, but then also from a human standpoint, like somebody feels like they don't have the time. Maybe they feel stuck around, I'm not sure how to really conceptualize it and move this forward. Maybe somebody, gets sick and is out for a few days, things like that. So you just want to have leave room for adjustments in all areas and paying attention to not only I think about like hearts, minds, and hands. So the heart is how we approach the work personally, individually. The mind is the intellect, the hands are the action. And so assessing all of those points, both tangibly and in some intangible ways as well.
Wow. That's actually really cool. I
Mhm.
think like just like once again, like the when you go above and beyond in that way, it literally allows the system to be at its best. Because I think sometimes when because there are going to be times where we get burnt out or something, let's say, and if you don't have like a system or like something in play behind like that you can always jump onto, you're gonna feel like you're almost jumping on a moving treadmill. It's just like, oh shoot, I gotta get back in the flow. You're trying to run to it when you're actually burnt out. It's just like a whole lot. So
Mhm.
Mm.
I understand. I'm actually really just learning like the power in having a foundation, the power in having a set plan behind what you do, so that when you end up going back to it, it's gonna help you be the best you can be for it, and for your people that you're serving. That's
Mhm.
good.
Yeah,
Mm.
thank you. And for me, I'm very like my approach is people first. And I know that like and my background has been a lot in working with people and supporting people. And so I definitely lean towards that direction. And as long as you take care of the people first, you'll get the outcomes that you desire. And even the person I referenced speaking with yesterday around some coaching, reference like being a robot, and they were talking about being a robot from a systems perspective, like they know the steps, boom, 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 boom. I also think about if we think of ourselves as in a robot, that doesn't take into account our actual needs and who we are, right? And even I said to the person, even robots need to be plugged in, right? They need something to regenerate the battery. They need some upgrades or something. They need tweaks and maintenance. And so none of us can and just are producers of outcomes. We need to pay attention to other things that are behind and within so that we can produce the best outcomes for ourselves, for our teams, and for our businesses and organizations. I hope that makes sense.
No, totally. That's good. The robot, yeah, we're not robots actually, and that's a good point because if we're trying to be a robot, we got to understand robots have a time to cool off too. So, no matter which way you put it, even like God Himself, He took rest. Like we can't. There's nothing much to say after that. It's just like we need to make sure that we're pacing ourselves. That's good.
I know, right? Boom. Rest on the seventh day. Yeah, that's so cool because that's something I've been thinking about a lot too. Just the idea of systems. But we had a guest on, Christian Ray Flores, and I love how he talked about it. Some people might say system, some people might say framework, but it's like the way he said it was like creating an environment, and the environment set up where you're in the environment and it's able to help set you up for success. So no matter how you're doing, how you're feeling, it's there to help set you up for success. And when I thought about that, I thought, wow, okay, well, I have this system set up and the environment's set up. I could also, not so much also, I could, I think about a room, because I think about, I might place my TV or my monitor somewhere. I have my laptop right here. I have my desk right here, but I can move it to the left a little bit. I can move it to the right. I could dust it off. I have to straighten up my room. It's not just, oh, okay, I'm a robot and here's a system, but here's the environment that's created. Now let's, oh, by the way, I got to clean my office. but let's adjust a little bit and let's assess and see how it's going. So I love that. It just gives that visual example, and it's so helpful, and it's also refreshing to be able to do that. Yeah. So love what you're doing, Alisa. This is great.
This is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. So, you've explained a lot here, and this is very helpful in this episode and just about systems and setting goals and strategic planning. Sometimes, when people think about that, they might think, oh boy, but it's such a good thing and it's so needed. So I thank you for all that you do with this, Alisa. Now, if one wanted to find you online, where can they find you?
They can find me at www.thelegacycc, so letter C, .com,
Awesome.
which stands for the legacy. It stands for Legacy Coaching and Consulting. So the legacy C, the letter C.com.
Love it. Check that link out below, y'all. Yes.
Check it out.
Yes. Well, you want to say it, CJ?
There you have it. How'd I do?
There you have it. Oh, that's pretty good. That was pretty good. Much props.
Can't take it from you, man. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode.
And if you haven't already, please be so kind and give us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And we'll see you soon. Peace.